Welcome back to Macsville, and this is episode 10. I can't believe we're already at episode 10. And before I jump right in, this one I made a mistake. I recorded the whole episode, and unfortunately, for some reason, the clip gate on the audio has badly messed up. So I'm going to be voicing this episode over. I'm hoping I can get this right. Bear with me. Thanks for watching. So I had a few things planned for this episode. In particular, I wanted to fix the entrance to the Owl Reserve. I also wanted to level up the Butler agricultural area, the farm industry that we had created. And then there was one really big thing that I think I have to look at, which is the road hierarchy. Now that we're getting to 20 odd thousand people in this video, we now know that we do have to fix some of the roads. So I'm going to go through this. I'm really sorry about this because of the having to do the voiceover, and this is my first ever trying to do a voiceover episode. What I'm going to do is I'm going to break down these key moments. I'm going to pull the footage together, and then hopefully I'll be able to tell you what I was thinking or what I was doing. So here what we were looking for is we had this road piece because it allowed people to drive in and out, and more importantly allowed us to get people to pick up dead bodies, etc. We had to do it. But then it got me thinking, actually, people could just walk in and out of the park, and that didn't seem fair. And obviously that's going to affect the total numbers of the people in the park. So we thought, hang on, let's chuck in a side gate. Let's connect up the side gate here to the park. And I think that's going to just alleviate that problem. We could do something about this road, I'm pretty sure, and we could probably get rid of it altogether and just have it pedestrianized. But I think for now we're going to keep it as it is, and we're just going to increase that. I want to get that park to level up. Come on, who doesn't want a 5-star Owl Reserve park? And I think this is where I actually spent a little bit of time just focused on actually how we could fix up this park. So here what I'm doing is I'm just increasing the entertainment level. You're going to notice I've tried out a couple of things. I had to make some slight adjustments to the terrain level, but basically I wanted to get some of the fishing piers down, I wanted to get some of the hunting cabins down, and ideally really we're just trying to get the entertainment level up to as high as it needs to be so that we can level up from a 4-star park to a 5-star park. I think that nature reserve is just such a cool place, bang in the middle of the river, that I really want to keep that there, and I want to make sure that the park gets the best. So as I'm going through this, hopefully quickly it'll give you a rough idea of what I was trying to do. And again, we'll hopefully do a bit of a tour at the end, so that'll show you a little bit nicer and a bit slower. Next up, we wanted to fix the Butler agricultural area, and here I did come up with an idea for a name. I know if you've got anything better, please do, but obviously being Macsville, I thought, how is it possible that we haven't yet included a reference to this? So I do end up changing the name. You're going to see it happening here pretty quickly, but I came up with the idea of, very simple, why not call it Apple Farm? And obviously that means that we could change the fields. We could maybe do a bit more of the fruit trees and have apple trees, which then made me think, well, okay, this now really does become an apple farm. So what I'm going to do here is really quickly run around moving a load of trees, fields, and getting down those small fruit trees. We move around some of the animal pastures, and then more importantly, the pieces that I was really interested in, which is getting this to level up, which means more workers, more production, and also being able to introduce our first unique factory. And I'm really excited about this as well. So let's get through this first little shift. You'll see what it looks like, and hopefully you're watching this as a time lapse, and then we can see what the unique factory looks like at the end. I had to stop the time lapse quickly just to show you the massive 2023 sheep migration, as literally we took away the animal pastures and all the animals decided to make their own way. They didn't automatically get shifted across with it. So I think this is fantastic. They literally had to go through all the apple trees to get to the other side. I don't know, I thought this was a really random piece of AI. I love Cities Skylines, but sometimes some of the weird and wonderful things it does is just fantastic. So there you have it. The sheeps are wild and they're going crazy, but they know where they're going, so that's great. As I continued to sort out the farm area, and this was again adding additional trees, adding additional crop production, because we needed to get that level up, which is what I was really looking for. And as I was doing that, actually we did get the next level up, which I think is really good. So you can see here that Apple Farm has now reached the level 4. And the next thing that I'm going to start doing is figuring out that actually the road hierarchy, which was always planned for this episode, is going to make a bit of an issue. So I'm just going to start moving some of the placement slightly, and then we're going to get round to upgrading one of the main roads. So let's see how that comes together. As with most things, trying to get the road to upgrade is always a bit of a pain. So obviously here at the apple farm, it was fine. I managed to move some buildings around and move some of the pastures. But actually, as we went up the road and when we got to some of the other buildings and the other industrial areas, it was a little bit more challenging. But we now have this huge, big, fast road that we can use to cut across and go north to south on this side of the highway, which I think is going to make a huge difference in the long term. Whilst I was sorting out some other bits and pieces, the Owl Reserve did reach level 5. That's a bonus. And by reaching level 5, it means that we unlocked an asset that I really like, so I decided to quickly go over to the Owl Reserve before I forgot and to actually place this. And this asset is basically the bouldering site, which I just find it a really nice idea that you could go down there on a nice day, get to go bouldering with your friends outdoors. It'd be pretty nice. I don't know if any of you have ever done bouldering. I've tried it once or twice years ago. It's a lot of fun, and even though I'm not very good at it, it makes for a nice day out. So I added that into there, and I'm really happy the way it looks. Look at that, people climbing already in a very soggy, wet rock face. So back to our apple farm, and this was basically just finalizing those bits and pieces. So you can see now the big road comes all the way through, which is great. We've got plenty of production, which is fantastic. It's what we really want. It's starting to generate money. But here what you'll also notice is we now have a flour mill and we have a bakery. The bakery is our first unique factory. And then we can see here that we've got export happening, we've got output of animal products, we've got output of flour, all of these things starting to generate us some real money. But actually this is where it all changes. Bakery, which is currently actually creating about 3,500 in value just by itself. So with that in mind, we've now gone up to level 4 for the apple farm, and I think it's just a matter of time now in terms of the total amount of workers, and we hopefully see that level up into level 5. I am going to do one more thing in a little while, and I can't remember if it's now or if it's in a little while in the video, but we're going to add in as well some of the worker barracks to give us those benefits. So it'll give us the increased efficiency, and as I start building those in now into the build, you'll see how that all comes together. And here we have it. This is how the apple farm looks, and I'm pretty happy with this. So it's got everything that we need, and hopefully that'll just be a matter of time now before it levels up to 5 stars.
Yeah.
So what you're going to see now is all focused around the transit side of things. And I'm going to put this on super fast because actually it probably could have benefited from being a time lapse anyway. The reason being that obviously in Cities Skylines, when you want to upgrade these roads and when you decide to come back and put a 4-lane in the space of where you had a 2-lane, this happens and it becomes an absolute nightmare of having to move buildings, shift things, move little bits and bobs around, things like the subway, for example, which is on the corner. All of these little things that I've ended up having to move and shuffle around basically. And as part of this, what I'm realizing is that the road hierarchy I completely kind of lost track of, which is fine. We were building a small city, but at the time now it's getting a bit bigger, it's getting busier. We need to kind of get this back into the city, and what I'm going to do is end up just looking at the whole roadway network. So there's going to be a load of changes. I'm going to leave this on as a massive time lapse just to see how it looks. Hopefully that'll end up working quite well. And again, it'll give you a rough idea of all the different things that I've ended up having to fix, change, move, and shift along the way to get to where we wanted to be. So let's fast forward through this as quickly as we can, and then we'll get to another huge project which I decided to undertake as part of this. Doesn't that now look lovely? Look at that. We've got this big 4-lane road that goes all the way down to the riverfront, but all the way back across. It's got no connections to the highway or anything, so it should be a great way to kind of bring goods back and forth as are needed. Now, I think we've noticed it a couple of times already as well, but this river walk has been causing some major issues. You can see that just the sheer volume of traffic that comes in and out of the pedestrianised areas, and just in general, the way I built it, the entrances to the parks in the wrong place, and not being able to connect to the road. So I decided to do something a little bit drastic. I did have a lot more of a spiel around this as I was looking around and hesitation, but then I suddenly decided, no, it was now. So what we're going to go through now is you're going to see a quick time lapse of me just basically completely nuking the river walk that we spent so long building together. That's fine. There will be something bigger, better, beautiful, more nice, beautiful that will come in its place eventually, maybe. And what I actually did was just fix up this whole area. And there is a big reason for it, which is, again, we're back to the transit idea, but we are missing big roads that we need that are going to go round the city, that are going to help shift traffic, and they're going to help us just break this up a little bit and make sure that we have that flow. And the way we had done this just wasn't working out. So again, looking at this idea of road hierarchy, I've taken all of this out, and then we've managed to actually build the 4-lane road all the way along. Again, this took a ton of moving assets, taking things out, repositioning things, fixing fences, etc. So hopefully this is just a very quick blink of an eye for you, but it has meant that we've got rid of a huge amount of our population as well. So I think we end up losing a couple of thousand, but it's okay. We'll bring those guys back and we will come back better than before. But right now, this had to happen to allow us to get those road networks back in place and make sure that we'd have something that will work properly. Boom, just like that, done. There you go, you can see there's no more river walk. The entrances to the park are connected to roads again, which is great. And we now have that 4-lane that goes all the way around the city and kind of parallel to the river. And it will comes all the way into the other side of the river as well, which is important. So this is a huge amount of extra connectivity. I think it's going to really help. It'll allow us to build more again. And just as I'm looking around the map here, what I'm actually doing is trying to figure out where the other connectivity will happen when we open up more tiles. But that's not an issue right now. Here is really good news as well. We finally made it to level 5 for the apple farm. So obviously having those additional bonuses, adding in the additional productions from the fields, having the additional factory. So we had the flour mill and we also had the unique factory at the bakery. All of those things have helped us to end up leveling up. So we will be able to do more now, but most importantly, we've unlocked the entirety of what we need for farming when it comes to the industries. And here you're going to notice I'm looking at this roundabout, but basically I had been trying my hardest to get this to kind of alleviate a bit of the traffic and to try and help basically just improve that entrance from the highway. And whilst we're still not able to change the connection that's in the next tile along, I think it is a bit of a challenge, but I tried a bit of everything. I moved some roads around. I ended up doing some stuff by making things one way and then changing them back and then moving them around again. But again, eventually we did manage to get things moving again, and I think we got back to about 76% traffic flow. So still work to be done for sure, but I think it's a good start. With our new 4-lane road going all the way from the other side of the river and then all the way down to past the schools and the trade school and also to our stadiums, etc. So I decided to rename this as our major avenue, and that's become the Steve Jobs Avenue. Yep, again, Macsville. I've got some other ideas for names, but if you've got anything better, please leave them down below in the comments. I had to fix up a few things from the different metro stops on the other side of the river, so I thought at the same time, why not bring a new metro line across and into, the same metro line but extended into the other side of the river, so that we've got this starting to build our connectivity. Hopefully this as well will reduce the number of cars that need to drive all the way around here, and it's again just one first step in that idea of trying to make the city as friendly as possible for public transport and for people walking, taking the tubes, taking the trains, etc. At this point here, I'm starting to look at this other side of the river as becoming a bit more of like a downtown area. It feels like it's already just naturally become more densely populated. There's more going on there. It just seems to have this different vibe than the other side of the city. And yeah, we're miles away from everything. And yeah, I did think about a downtown around the shoreline on the other side, but I'm then thinking maybe that'd be better as a touristy area. So I've just kind of started looking at these things and thinking, I wonder how I can make this and what this might look like as we continue to go forward. So my next Bright Spark idea was to try and create a cargo train connection to service the apple farm. And I thought, look, this is going to be fairly easy, right? I tried underground, I tried overground, I tried next to this mountain range, and yeah, it was fun, it was interesting, it was exciting, it was challenging, it made me want to throw everything out the window. So I've cut out some of the pieces of trying it underground, etc. And then this time lapse here, you can see I've fast forwarded because this just took way too long, much longer than I would have liked. So we've only got a one-way kind of connection currently, but this will be great, I think, in reducing the total number of cargo traffic that we're getting. And hopefully that will make sure that we have a little bit less traffic going in and out of our city. And again, exporting goods, that helps to generate cash. And everyone loves cash. So this is me creating our first ever cargo hub in the city, and we also now have a little bit more connectivity in terms of train lines. In-game time, that actually took me way longer than I ever should have, or that I would have wanted it to. But anyway, it doesn't matter, it's done now, and I'm happy about it. So we do now have that connectivity, and hopefully that will service that area quite well. We'll see how that goes. Maybe it'll be brilliant, maybe it won't. We'll see. But look at that beautiful train line that goes all the way out of town. So from there, I came back over to the other side of the river. I'm really starting to feel like this is going to become our downtown area. So I wanted to try and combat a little bit of the industrial needs. So I thought more office space. I also then started thinking would be more people. I thought, let's put in some more public transport. So we added in another metro line. We do need to do some work on the metro line, so that'll come later. But that set up that way. So that's a nice start, in my opinion. As I was wrapping up the episode, I realized that electricity was becoming an issue, so I decided to throw in a additional source. So we're going for a solar updraft tower. I don't think this is where it's going to stay. In fact, I'm pretty sure it's not. But again, I just wanted to get that down so that the city wouldn't start destroying itself or letting everybody leave. You'll notice that the population has come back. It's rebounded considering we got rid of the entire river walk, etc. So we're at around 25.8, I think that is. So again, we're getting towards that next milestone, which is the 30,000 mark. And hopefully in the next episode, we'll be able to build out some new areas to help with that. But there you can see the solar draft tower has been added. And again, this was just now wrapping up the few different bits that we had done. So the apple farm obviously had been fixed, the road networks that have been changed, the river walk that has gone, and now obviously this additional power source that we've just added now. With all this work done to the road network as well, I wanted to come in and just take a quick look here. You can see 75, 77%. It's not perfect by any means, not at all, but it's definitely starting to look a little bit better. There's the junction entrance to the highway. We can't really do much about it. And until we unlock more tiles and we can kind of get a second access to the highway and connect those together, I think that's going to be a challenge. But for now, we are definitely looking better than we were. The public transport is starting to build, and I think there's a lot we can do. That metro line, just having that one long line, is probably not the best way of doing it. And of course, we introduced our first ever cargo rail, so that's also going to start helping to alleviate some of that traffic that we're going to see. We now have a 5-star river walk. Not the river walk, that's not true. We don't have a river walk at all. We now have a 5-star owl nature reserve, which is awesome. And we obviously have the 5-star industrial center and the apple farm. And I'm going to be honest, our downtown area is starting to look pretty nice. And I actually go through here as I realized I was trying to do this for the thumbnail because I thought this was quite a cool picture for the downtown. And what I realized really quickly is actually I really like those buildings. So you're going to notice here as I try and jump in quickly and I just make them all historical buildings because I really like them. It reminds me of in the UK, certain of the industrial kind of brick buildings that you get near the riverfront. Some of them have been around for hundreds of years, but they just look quite cool. And I thought that is one of those kind of buildings just overlooking the river there. I just thought it looked really nice. So that's all I'm doing quickly towards the end of the episode. But that's it for today's episode. Again, so sorry guys that I ruined the recording and had to do this as a voiceover. I hope you enjoyed it all the same, and maybe actually you prefer this kind of a format of content. But for now, thank you so much for watching. If you did like this, please do hit the like button. If you haven't subscribed yet, please do consider subscribing. It would be great to have you here as part of our little team, and I look forward to seeing you all in episode 11.